the President of Angola for his leadership and for his commitment at the service of our continent. During this summit, we launched the theme of the year 2026, namely ensuring sustainable availability of water and safe sanitation systems in order to achieve the objectives of Agenda 2063. The choice reflects a deep conviction because without equitable access to water and sanitation, we cannot talk of public health or inclusive development or sustainable prosperity for our people. Our discussions also focused on the major challenges facing Africa. In my acceptance speech, I expressed the deep concerns of Burundi in the face of persistent developing. In the roadmap presented, Burundi expressed its determination to contribute its quota in order to silence the gangs and reinforce the African peace mechanisms. Furthermore, delegations reiterated their commitment to build a more efficient African Union that is human-centered and capable of meeting the aspirations of the continent, especially a more equitable representation of Africa in global governance. Agenda 2063 is our strategic blueprint for inclusive and sustainable growth on the continent. Therefore, we encourage the expediting of the implementation of ASCFTA, the transformation of our agriculture sector, as well as investment in infrastructure, innovation, youth, and women's empowerment. And these are the tools that are necessary for the structural transformation of Africa. We also stressed the importance of coordinated African action within the G20 in order to better defend our common priorities. Food security, climate transformation, or digital transformation, we need to defend our position. So together, we adopted decisions, declarations, and resolutions during this session with a firm desire to translate our commitment into concrete action at the service of the African people. So I also wish to express our deep gratitude to the government and the people of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia for their warm reception and the excellent facilities made available to ensure the success of this summit. Africa is decisively moving towards a future of peace, integration, and shared prosperity. I thank you for your kind attention, and I'm ready to respond to your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Excellency, the Chairperson of the African Union and the President of the Republic of Burundi. Let me now hand over to the Chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Mahmoud Ali Yusuf. Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you. Your Excellency, President Evariste Ndayishimiye, President of the Republic of Burundi, and the Chairperson of the African Union, ladies and gentlemen from the media, good afternoon. Welcome to Nelson Mandela Hall. It is in this hall that we hold our ordinary session, and very happy to receive you this afternoon after 5 days of intense meetings. And these meetings started with the PRC, which is the representative of member countries, on the 11th, actually in mid-January. And what we started actually on the 11th is the Executive Council meeting, and then the summit from the 14th and 15th of February. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a new momentum today in the methodology and the way we organized our meetings. So you have certainly noticed that very long meetings have been shortened. We used to end our meetings, early in the morning sometimes, working the whole night, but thanks to the leadership of His Excellency President Ndayishimiye, we managed to really squeeze the agenda and control the deliberations in a way that we could, meet the expectations of our leaders, because they didn't want these kind of marathon meetings. That's number one in terms of new momentum that we have discussed, and it's a good beginning. The second issue is that we try to focus our attention on strategic issues. Most of the deliberations and discussions took place in this hall with regard to peace and security on the continent, the reforms that we are trying to put in place for this organization, and at the end also the participation of the African Union to the G20. Of course, we received the reports of the assembly committees, which are presided over by heads of states. Agenda 2063 was one of them, the reports, or the NEPAD report, the AFCFTA report, and so on and so forth, and in particular also a report on the UN Security Council reforms and the demands of the African Union to have these 2 permanent seats with the right of veto and 5 non-permanent seats. And as a side events, there were almost 15 side events that have been organized during these 4 days of the 39th session of the summit. We had a forum of the business community. That was also something new. Given the fact that the financing of our development programs are becoming more and more challenging, it has been advised that we embark on a journey with our business community so that they also become a contributor to our development programs, and we had a forum as a side event in this building. The second side event, which is very important, was, His Excellency the President said it, was the launch of the theme of the year, water and sanitation. We know all about that. And then the third forum also was organized around, how best we can strengthen our health structures. And I know that this is a big challenge for the continent, and the CDC has been very, very active, very instrumental in this particular sector, and so on and so on, so on and so forth. So the conference actually pinpointed the fact that the heads of state will have zero tolerance for unconstitutional or unconstitutional change of governments on our continent. The conference also underscored its determination to silence the guns. This is also a very important program if we contemplate to develop this continent and create the integration conditions for our countries. We need to silence the guns. We need peace on this continent. We need stability on this continent, and we have a program for that. The conference really underscored the necessity and its determination to pursue the goal of silencing the guns. And finally, the conference also committed to support the reforms, because without reforming the way we are handling our security issue, peace issue, the way we are handling our economic challenges and trade-related affairs, I think it will be very difficult to reach the deliverables that we need to reach. And we all know that the Agenda 2063 is built on 5 pillars, which are the 10-year plan, and then divided in 5-year plans. And we launched the 2024-2028 5-year plan, and we would like to see better performance in terms of deliverables in the time frame of this 10-year plan. So it's not easy, it won't be easy, But we are very optimistic and hopeful because we believe that the continent has what it takes in terms of resources, human resources, financial resources. It has, natural resources, and we do have also the policies that we need to implement Agenda 2063 through these plans and also roadmaps. Now, it's very important also, one last point, that the conference recognize, colonization as a crime against humanity. That's very important. And we also the conference expressed its solidarity with Palestine and the Palestinian people and invited the Prime Minister of the Palestinian Authority to come and deliver his speech here. This is a tradition in this building. This is not the first time, but given the circumstances now and what is going on in Gaza and the West Bank, I think it had a more, let's say, symbolic importance than anything else. But the African Union member countries support the rights of the people of Palestine to become independent and have their own statehood. Thank you very much. We are ready to take on a number of questions.
Thank you very much, Excellency. Let's go straight into our question and answer section. Can I have a show of hands? If I've asked you to speak, very quickly introduce yourself, ask your one question per person so that we can get through the 5 questions that we have scheduled. The first hand that I saw went up from here, then there was that one. I will take the lady at the back. Let's go with those 3 for the first round. Please. Please, can you go to a microphone?
Tom Kennedy from France 24. Question for the President of Burundi. What is your strategy to resolve the crisis in the east of the DRC?
Thank you. Please introduce yourself and ask your question.
Mike, give him the mic.
Bonjour, c'est Mohamed Wali, journaliste de la télévision algérienne Al-24 News. Le sommet vient d'adopter...
The summit has just adopted the Algiers Declaration on the crimes committed during colonization. So what do you think about this initiative and the initiative taken by Algeria? How do you see this initiative of Algeria within the context of the continent, this complementarity?
Please, Madam, give us your name and ask your question.
Good afternoon. My name is Bongani Seziba, News Central TV, Nigeria. My question is, has the conference maybe discussed on the inclusion of Sahel countries? Because you speak about silencing of the guns. Is there maybe a discussion on including them in the AU?
Thank you very much. Excellency, Chairperson of the Union, I will hand over to you.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. You asked a question which we think is very interesting, a question concerning the stabilization of Eastern DRC. First of all, we are hoping, we do have hope, because already the two sides, the two factions are actually willing to sit down and talk. They want dialogue. So there is this tension between Rwanda and DRC. But even within the countries, within Congo, we have armed groups, Congolese armed groups. So, first we want to see that there is peace between DRC and Rwanda. And we already have the Washington Agreement, which actually brought in a ceasefire. And the ceasefire is an instrument. It's an instrument that brings together the factions. Even here today, it looks like there is no real trust between the two sides. There is that instrument already, but they are under the obligation to implement that agreement, because both of them signed the agreement. So the mediators have to assist the two parties to implement this agreement. And also, there must be a mechanism for the implementation of this agreement. We talk about a ceasefire, yes, that's one thing, but it has to be implemented. And for us, for this to be implemented, then you have, for example, the withdrawal of the forces. You have the foreign forces who have to pull out and go back to their own countries. And we also have to ensure that none of the parties will go back to a warring or to a situation of war. So they must guarantee the lives of the people. But also, the ceasefire implies that there must be demobilization, disarmament, and also a process to guarantee the security and safety of all the citizens involved. Because if the fighters leave the battleground, the people should be assured of their safety and security. And so this you will find in the Washington agreements, but even within Congo, you have this kind of discussion. And even in Doha, there was also the ceasefire and also a call for dialogue. So this has to do with the Congolese people. The Congolese people could put their heads together around a table and have a dialogue. And I did hear that President Felix Tshisekedi is determined to start an internal dialogue process to restore stability in the country. And so as the African Union, our role here is to walk the path with them, to give them the support they need, to ensure that they actually engaged in a peace process. So that is my answer to the first question that was asked.
Merci, President.
Thank you.
Excellency Chairperson.
J'aimerais ajouter aux explications à la stratégie.
The explanations given by the Chair of the Union that the African Union has put in place a mechanism that is championed by the President of Togo, for Nyasimbe. And there is a secretariat that is put in place here in Addis Ababa, and of course you have some dignitaries, some former presidents like President Obasanjo, President Sahle-Work, President Panza. So these former presidents, they have terms of reference, clear-cut terms of reference, and they are going to help, especially in the areas that President Ndayishimiye just mentioned here, that is to ensure that all what is happening within the DRC and also relations with Rwanda. So President Faure has already undertaken some field missions to those countries. He's with the President of Burundi. And I think that the African Union today is in a position to undertake this mediation and not to leave it only in the hands of external partners to try to resolve African problems. So the Washington Agreement was welcomed and appreciated by the African Union, even the Doha Declaration as well. But now it is the turn of the African Union to step in and to ensure mediation and also stabilization in DRC. Thank you. That's what I had to say.
Do you want to take the other two questions, Excellency Chairperson?
Yeah, with regard to the second question, the theme of last year, if you remember, was the reparations for Africans and African ascendants due to the slavery and colonization eras. I think it's very important to understand and underscore that the African Union has always considered colonization, slavery, as a crime against humanity. So this year, the conference has again, underscored the fact that we needed to make it in a declaration, and the declaration presented by Algeria has been endorsed. So it's very important to demonstrate that kind of commitment and determination to fight against all form of colonization on the continent, and I think this is something that is in line with the whole struggle for independence since the 60s, 50s, 60s, and then it is ongoing. And I think that this issue of colonization and reparations will continue to be our leitmotif in this union.
Excellency, there was a question on the inclusion of the countries of the Sahel.
Merci.
Thank you.
La situation
The situation in the Sahel
n'est pas une question
is not
qu'on peut prendre à la légère.
an issue that can be taken lightly, that should be taken lightly. It's a very complex issue
Le terrorisme
because the terrorism which is entrenched in the zone,
des crimes transfrontaliers,
these terrorists are committing
ça concerne presque
cross-border
toute
crimes,
la région.
and it affects the entire region. So the first thing
Il faut
is that
qu'il y ait solidarité
we need
entre
to
les États
ensure
de la
solidarity among the states of the region to fight the terrorist threat together. And this is what the African Union is doing to assist them to restore peace in the region. But also, the issue is very complex because there are also states whose institutions are not internationally recognized. And the African Union is against the unconstitutional change of government. So we see that the leaders of these states also, they need to we need to engage with them so that they can quickly restore the constitutional order and also assist them to stabilize their state. So today, we cannot say that we need to involve the terrorists. The terrorists, they have no ideology. Their ideology is criminal in nature. So there's we cannot engage with a criminal and bring about peace, whereas their ideology is criminal in general. And so we need to get all the citizens of the region to unite, to work together, and even convince them that they have a common enemy. And this can be done when the leaders of the region are together to mobilize their citizens. So this is what the African Union would like to do. And that's why the African Union has maintained or maintained links or communication with the countries of the Sahel so that we can together find solution to the threat.
Chairperson.
Yes, the issue of reintegration of the Sahel countries in the African Union, President Dashimie has already tackled and handled it. The biggest problem that we have in that region is the proliferation of terrorist groups, traffickers, and all kinds of secessionist rebellions. And this region has become a source of concern when it comes to the neighboring countries too. So it's very important also to understand that we need to continue to engage with them. When I assumed office, I immediately appointed a special envoy, and my special envoy has been meeting recently with the leaders of those countries, and I also requested a visit to those capitals so that I can also start a direct dialogue with the leaders of that region. I think the Sahel countries need the support of the whole African Union, and I know that there is an initiative now that more than the neighboring countries, 18 countries of that region are seriously thinking of creating a platform, a common platform, on how best they can handle these security issues together and not leave it to the three Sahel countries. I think this initiative will certainly be of critical importance in the coming weeks and months. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have two more questions. I'm just looking at the hands. Okay. There is one gentleman there at the back. I will take the gentleman at the back. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Talking about the African Continental Free Trade Area, I mean, a lot of applause and thumbs up coming in execution by the SADC region and somehow by Ethiopia, obviously an anchor nation in the Horn and Eastern Africa. To what extent the conflict in the Sahel threatening the ongoing African Continental Free Trade Area, and why you, the organization, failed to set initiatives to halt the ongoing conflict in the Sahel region. And of course, the African Continental Free Trade is one of the leading initiatives by the African Union, showing a good progress and performance. But in the area of peace and security, we've been hearing African Union condemns these are the problems and stuff like that.
All right.
But we haven't seen any initiative in that regard.
Thank you. Thank you. There was a hand at the back. Please go ahead, sir. Interpreters, we cannot hear you.
We can hear them.
Right, thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Emmanuel Pacom Damali. I'm a journalist with a Daily Graphic from Ghana. The President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, has decided or has already drawn the attention of the AU that he's going to table a resolution at the UN next month declaring slavery and slave trade as the greatest crime against humanity and seeking for reparation and reparative justice. We want to find out what is the commitment of the AU towards this cause and what strategies are you adopting to push for this agenda for the continent of Africa to gain its reparative justice that it seeks. Thank you very much.
One more question. There is a gentleman who put his hand up very quickly here.
Thank you. This is Samuel from Ethiopian Press Agency. How does the AU view Ethiopia's Green Legacy Initiative as a model for enhancing watersheds and ensuring long-term water security across the Horn of Africa? Thank you.
Excellency Chair of the Commission, I will start with you.
The question around the lack of efficiency of the African Union to resolve crises and conflicts, and the lack of initiatives that create a sense of failure. And this could have an impactful effect on the development of trade on the continent, and in particular through our common framework, which is EFCFTA. Let me say that it's not the lack of initiatives that create that sense. Even an hour ago, I was in a C5 meeting, presided over by His Excellency President Ramaphosa on the Republic of South Sudan, and so many leaders, presidents were present. And I think that there are so many mechanisms that we try to use and utilize in order to bring peace and stability in some of our regions where we have conflicts and unstable situations. You are right when you say that one of the non-tariff barrier that we always refer to and mention is the lack of security in the border areas. If you don't have, 100% security in border areas, it's very difficult for goods to cross the border from a country to another. This is a real challenge. And then, of course, the unconstitutional change of governments create also more tension, not only inside the country, but also it might have a spillover effect on neighboring countries. But silencing the guns is really a flagship program in this Agenda 2063, and we are putting all our efforts, resources, and all the mechanisms necessary so that we can bring a difference on the ground. Monsieur le Président.
Merci. D'abord,
thank you. Well, at the moment, we cannot say that there are failures because we are still at the very beginning of the operationalization. So, since we are still at the very beginning, definitely there are challenges, there are hurdles in the process. But the chairperson of the Commission has just mentioned that, as a matter of fact, for us to have trade, there must be stability, even within our countries. If there is instability within a country, trade is difficult, and it's even more difficult when there is instability between two countries. It becomes more complicated. But at the moment, we are very, very optimistic. We are optimistic because with time, or as time goes on, we are looking at strategies for ensuring stability and peace.
With regard to the second question on the resolution that will be tabled by Ghana next month at the UN Security Council by His Excellency President John Mahama, I think that if Ghana decided to go to the UN Security Council, it is with the mandate of the African Union and with the support of the 55 countries. And without that support, and the support of the A3 plus is the non-permanent members of the African countries in the Security Council. And I think that the whole process of demanding reparations and asking that slavery is and was considered as a crime against humanity, it is a collective effort. And Ghana is relying on the support of the African group in New York to advocate for that and to lobby for that. So rest assured that the Commission is behind Ghana to support the tabling of that resolution at the UN Security Council.
Excellency, do you want to continue and take the one on the green legacy?
On green legacy?
Yes, sir.
The African Union Commission really congratulates Ethiopia for its tremendous efforts it has been deploying in protecting the environment, launching this green legacy, and His Excellency Prime Minister Abiy has been very successful, and we have just to see the city of Addis Ababa that it speaks for itself. And also we have to remind us all that Ethiopia organized the African Climate Summit, which is now the declaration of that summit, the roadmap of that summit will be the reference documents for the African position when it will come to defend our position in climate justice, the financing of our adaptation plan, and also the voicing also the expectations of continent in energy transition, etc., etc. All these issues, you know them. And beyond that, we are preparing also, on the top of that, I mean, we are preparing ourselves to host here in Ethiopia, COP32. This will be the first time that the African continent will host this big event where almost 100,000 people will come, and it will be a great platform to voice the requirements, let's say the demands and expectations of this continent. And we also all know that we are the most affected by climate change, and we are not the countries which has, contributed to the green gas, how do you call it? Greenhouse effect? Greenhouse effect? Yes. Greenhouse effect and emissions. The African continent contributed only up to 4%. 4% to the greenhouse effect and emissions. And the polluters have to pay. They have to support our member countries to develop their adaptation plans to fight against climate change. And each and every year, devastating cyclones, droughts, floodings, hit our continent. And most recently, we had very difficult, very strong cyclones in Mozambique, southern part of Madagascar. And a year ago, it was drought, that has stricken countries in the southern part of Africa, Zambia, Zimbabwe, and then floods in Somalia and elsewhere. I think it's very important to understand that this cycle of destructive natural phenomenon will keep repeating itself. And that's why adaptation plans are really a matter of survival for our economies. Just to give you also another example, one cyclone can destroy the economy of a country for good. From an emerging economy, you can just drop to the least developed country in one night. That's why I think it's very important to understand the effect of the climate change. What we are doing also, just to finish on this point, what we are doing as advocacy is to link, to show the nexus between climate change, migration, and debt sustainability. Because it is all turning around, circling around the economies of our countries. So we cannot, spare resources for development if we have to deal with the consequences of destructive natural phenomena that are the direct results of climate change.
Thank you, Excellency Chairperson of the Union. Do you have a comment?
No.
Thank you very much for the media, for your presence. You have been very patient for a number of days, and you did, a great job. So the Commission and the Chairperson of the Union, thank you for your patience and your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, colleagues. Thank you for attending this press briefing.